Good afternoon. It's August 22nd, 2023. It's been about 8 months since I've last posted a video. Um, Things have been happening, with all the weather events last year, with the hurricanes and this cold weather that damaged a lot of my plants. Then I had to make a move, 28 years at my previous address, and how sometimes things happen. When it's time to go, it's time to go. So I had to, when I left, I pretty much took everything. I had to pack up 28 years worth of life and in a hurry and relocate. So here I am, um, further up north of Florida, uh, where I've had to adjust to rural life, being a city boy. So, and as me adjusting, the plants had to adjust also, being out here in a whole new location where it's pretty much all sun all day. So, trying to find that Goldilocks zone for these plants, either it's like there's no shade out here. So, a lot of the plants really got damaged and out of even worse than they were from the previous year. So with a lot of cutting, repotting, starting stuff over, and a lot of damaged plants. A few months in, and everything started. Most of the stuff is starting to look okay now. So I didn't want to just record anything for you people to look. So I'm just going to do a quick assessment here. I'm A lot of plants, I might do a deep dive into them in later videos, but let's go. Right here, we have Ficus taniki, which has been battling spider mites since I got it out here. It's doing okay now. It's still a struggle with the spider mite, as you can see. I've been treating it, but the hot weather is taking its toll on it too. And it just so happens, this is a little thing here. Repotting it this year, I got some watermelon seeds in there by accident. So I got a little fruit on there. So we'll see how mature that can get. That's a little bonus there. So we're on to over here. Like I said, all sun all day. I tried to group plants by sun requirements or lack of requirements. These are some moringa trees that I started from seed this year. Yeah, they're doing okay. Just repotted those yesterday. So over here where I have more exposure to the sunlight, I have most of my succulents. Well-fin Sansevieras, Sansevieras, aloes, kalanchoes, some euphorbias, and some other succulents. They're able to tolerate the more sun, longer range of sun. So I have them out here. They've been doing well. One thing that I did notice out here in rural areas that seeds grow, weeds grow crazy out here. And you pretty much have to pick weeds out every 2 weeks, 3 weeks at the most. And I've been neglecting that because it's been a task. I did them about 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, they grow faster than the plants do. So before I do a deep dive in here, I'll end up doing a lot of weeding in the next week or so. So that's that section. Most of the ginger plants have been taking their toll out here. They were doing nice at the beginning when they started growing back. I pretty much had to cut all those back down to the rhizomes and started growing them over again. And they were doing quite nicely. But once June hit and the summer and the heat got really intense, it started burning a lot of the ginger and leafy plants. You see how it did my banana plant. It being the hottest summer on record, it's really showing out here in the garden. So, especially since there's no shade out here. But the shampoo ginger, this shell ginger seems to be doing pretty well. As far as the other ones, there's one more down here, and there's a couple more down here. That was my white butterfly ginger, and I forget the name of this one. It has very pretty light yellow flowers. I have to go through these and cut a lot of the dead stems out, which is, you keep busy maintaining this stuff out here. Let alone watering is a whole lot of maintenance. This is a camellia tree. It's not doing too well out here. This is starting to do good now. All the older leaves burned off really quick out here, but the new growth that got adjusted to the sunlight is doing really well. That's my lavender or purple magnolia tree. You might have seen this in a previous video. This is my red flame, I believe that is. I forget the name of it right now, but if I remember, I'll put the name in the video. My Schefflera, I don't know what's wrong with this. I might cut it all the way back. It's been struggling all summer. I've been looking for pests. I don't see any pests on it. I've already cut back quite a few stems that died off of it. Like I said, no pests. I didn't notice any pests. I've repotted it. The roots are healthy. I did a deep dive on the roots. The roots are healthy. The older stems are dying off, and it's still growing, but for some reason the leaves aren't spreading out like they normally would. If anybody knows what's causing that, anybody looking at the video knows what caused that, please leave me a message down in the comments. Okay, on to everything else. More euphorbias. My begonias really took their toll out here. They didn't like the sun at all. So a lot of them I had to cut back and start over again. And I looked for places, a little more shadier places to put them, which I'll show you after I get done with this section where I put some of them at. Philodendrons, a few philodendrons that I have bunched up in here that will tolerate to a certain extent. Sometimes they burn, sometimes they don't. This is Philodendron pedatum. Of course, I'm pretty sure most people know this is Brazil, Philodendron Brazil. This is one begonia that seems to tolerate this full sun, even though it's not burning, but it's not flourishing either. Here's an Alocasia regal shield. I have another one over in another area. Croton Andrew is here. It's reverted up here, plain green, which I kind of like. I like the plain green up here. So that's nice. This is my coffee that I started from cuttings a few years back. This is a mendacious orchid that I've had about 10 years that only flowered for me once, and it decided to flower for me out here because I really believe it was the extreme sunlight that it apparently it likes. So it decided to produce a couple of flowers for me this year. That was a nice surprise for me. Uh, Philodendron Jose Bueno. It, the burn. The philodendrons out here, it's either too much light or too little light out here for these. So I'm still trying to find a Goldilocks zone for these. Uh, Under here, up under the shade, they seem to do best, but I don't have a whole lot of shade plants that will tolerate the full sun that can protect the smaller plants. So I got pretty much little mini ecosystems all over the place to protect the ones that uh, can't tolerate the full sun. Okay, over here I have closer to the house is where I got the ones that with the less exposure of sunlight. Here's this one stand with I have majority of my Hoya plants at. I have some philodendrons, some um, scindapsus, um, syngoniums, ferns. Uh, we got some pothos down here. Yeah, Manjulos doing quite nicely on down here. Enjoy. I think this is a silver queen. I'm not sure because I got cuttings from a former co-worker of mine. She would be nice. She would love to see how nice that's doing right now. Okay, I got a nice leaf on this philodendron right here. I think it's I forget the name, gold something. Uh, and some philodendrons over here. Like I said, I stuck over here in the shadiest area I could possibly put them in. Thai plant. My clivias back here that was doing quite well during the spring months. They were flowering and seeding and everything. And then once summer hit, the sun got too intense for them, and they were burning between the extreme heat and the extreme and rain that made them rot that much quicker. So to keep them from dying, I had to sit them back there where less rain and less heat. Otherwise, I wouldn't have those anymore. So on to other things. Here's more hibiscus tiricali, duranta, the hibiscus, money tree, um, plumeria, pudica, plumeria pudica. Okay. Another area where I got succulents at. As far as I got a philodendron giganteum over here. Spathophyllum Mauna, which died all the way back earlier this year, and it's starting to grow back now that it's not being scorched by the sun. The few cattleyas I have down here, which are usually sun tolerant, but the heat and the light was too extreme for them this year. So they're back here with a little less sunlight. Succulents, where I got a lot of kalanchoes, monodiniums, sansevieras, and the like. euphorbias. Okay, now on to another area out here. We're under the trees where I have the majority of my bromeliads, ferns, aglaonemas, and a few begonias out here. These were originally up by the house, but my housemate didn't want all the plants up against the house because he said they attract snakes. So I had to find another place for them. Up under the trees out here is decent. It only gets full afternoon sun, so they're tolerating it. Epiphyllum hookery right here. I'm not going to go through the names of them because most of them I don't know. All I know is they're bromeliads. My some of his plants are mixed in here too. These staghorn ferns are his. So, and that one, I do have one over there in the corner. Everything else, I do the yard work, so I take care of all of them. The thing about the shade out here, I know people would suggest that I put some in the house, but that has been attempted, and my housemate has 6 animals, 3 cats, 3 dogs, and the cats like to bite stuff, so we've already had one emergency trip to the vet. So plants in the house is a no-no for the moment until we can find some way to restrain them from the animals. This is another Mauna Loa. I have some begonias, my bird's nest ferns, and some of my more aglaonemas over here, which are doing quite nicely because the aglaonemas pretty much rotted down to almost the soil line for the most part. So they grew back quite nicely after they got adjusted. Uh, Philodendron adansonii, small leaf form. This is a nice bushy plant here. I'm not going to pull all of that all the way out. I do have another one over here that I had. Matter of fact, there's a little story to this. I got it originally as like a 2 or 3 leaf cutting about this big. It was on the side of a road sitting in a pot where a neighbor had a plant sale, which I wasn't aware of until it was long done. And there was like 3 or 4 plants left that didn't get sold. So they were sitting on the sidewalk with a sign that said free plants. So I took that one. It was that one and a couple of syngoniums. That was 4 years ago. So I got all this here and this one over here off of that one stem cutting. Here's another Hoya. This is a Royal Hawaiian Purple. It's in the process of a 3rd bloom from this pundicle forming right there. It's been flowering all summer. So one more spot to go way out here where, like I said, I took everything. When I had to move from the previous location, I took everything. I dug up every plant that I ever grew there. So those are all and it was just me and one other person that did all of this digging. and transporting. And it was a task, especially with these here, where you have to dig them up, and they were heavy and they're pointy and they're dangerous. And I don't know how many times I got poked, prodded, and stuck by these plants, but they had to go. So this is their permanent home. And when I decide to relocate once again, they're going to stay here. So this is my whew, it's hot. It's hot out here. My Ficus altissima, golden gem. I've started propagating on a couple of the stems here. I know there's roots in there. Yep, there's roots in there in both of them. I'm gonna make some more propagations off of this in a later video. So there's that. And one more thing I wanted to show you. The Euphorbias tiracalis, or the pencil stick plant. These cuttings right here came off of a tree I had in my front yard. It was a plant that grew about 12 feet high. And that was a major task. You know, I didn't want to leave that, and I didn't want to cut it down and leave it on the side of the road. So my best option, being with it, just one other person helping me, was to cut down the branches and to make it lighter and dig it up and drag it along. But these are all the branches from the main tree. Stuck them in the sand, let nature do this course, and all of them took root. And they're doing nicely now. Very nice, very nice, firm new growth. And let me go over here and show you the stock plant from these. This is the main tree, as you can see, where we cut all the branches off. It's getting new growth. It took a while for it to take root, but it did, and here it is. It's kind of leaning to the side, but I might have to readjust it or get some way to pull it and even straighten it back up, but at least it survived. So there you have it. There's a few more plants in the front, not really worth mentioning. I stuck a couple of epiphyllums up on the tree, up on the trees. That's not doing it. I thought I would experiment with putting those and bromeliads on trees to see if they would take root. This is a Euphorbia disclusa. I've had this for a long time. This was maybe a 3-inch seedling when I first bought it. It's about 5.5 feet tall now. I thought it would be a lot thicker. The new growth is looking quite nice, I might add. The growth is so small, I guess, probably because I wasn't giving it a full sun like it's getting out here now. So, but it is nice. I might cut it right here and start it over again from that point and let it bush. We'll see. But like I said, that's it right about now. There are other plants not really worth mentioning at the moment. I'll show you this euphorbia here. There's a lot of butterfly plants here, but and plants that need to be repotted and maintained. So that will be it for this video. until my next time where I'll do a deeper dive on some of my other plants. Until then, thanks for stopping by and viewing. Till next time.